Good, happy Thursday morning, January 3rd, 2019. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to, but first we begin on the storm watch this morning with meteorologist Mike Haddad. Quick hit of light snow in the morning. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9, Mike Haddad.
Road this year? It begins at Country Camper. We've got a new name.
Thank you very much for joining us. Stormwatch 9 weather on the web moving in through the end of this week, and quite a few changes are marching in our direction as a weak system takes over during the overnight tonight through the morning commute tomorrow. Now, because of the timing of this system, a coating inch, 2 or 3 inches of snow from south to north will have an impact on travel. So do plan on a little bit of extra time if you're traveling during the overnight through the Thursday morning commute. However, from late morning in through the afternoon, into Friday and Friday night, mostly dry outside of a few flurries across the mountains, and then light rain or a light mix on Saturday, and then dry for Sunday and Monday, possibly some heavier snow next Tuesday. Still way out there, over 5-6 days out, so we'll have to fine-tune that as we get a little bit closer to it. In the short term, however, tracking a little bit of light snow through the Great Lakes. This system races through here from around midnight, 1-2 a.m., through the morning commute on Thursday. So while it stays mostly dry through about midnight or 1 a.m., between 2 and 3 in the morning, light snow begins to break out in many spots so that by 4 a.m., a good part of the state is snowing. Again, mostly on the light side. Morning commute, light snow on average statewide, possibly some mixing right along the immediate coastline as temperatures will be up right around 32 or 33 degrees. And then partial sun goes to work as early as 10 or 11 tomorrow morning, as any steady precipitation in the form of a mix of the coast, light snow elsewhere, is gone by the mid to late morning. Partly sunny, becoming breezy for Thursday afternoon. A partly sunny Friday with a few flurries early in the day across the mountains. Outside of that, dry into Friday night. Come Saturday, could be some light rain or a light mix. Best shot of light rain south, light mix north, and then dry on Sunday. Snowfall totals about 1 to 3 inches north of Concord. Could be spot 3, 3.5, 4 inch amounts in the highest of elevations. A coating to an inch or 2 in southern New Hampshire. But again, that's just enough to make roads a little bit slick for the morning commute. So plan on a bit of extra time if traveling through Thursday morning. Highs, though, by the afternoon, back up near freezing north to the low 40s in southern New Hampshire. It's a partly sunny, milder Friday, mid-30s north with a few flurries, mid-40s south. Light mix or light rain. Best chance of a mix will be north of Concord on Saturday. Some sun, windy, chilly on Sunday. Colder but lighter winds with some sun on Monday ahead of the next storm system likely to move in next Tuesday. Again, way out there, 6 days out, so we'll fine-tune it as we get closer. But at this point, snow does look likely Tuesday night, and early on Wednesday.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report from meteorologist Mike Haddad. And we have one closing / delay for you right now. Cohart Academy of Arts 2-hour delay in Dover, New Hampshire. And we'll be sure to keep you updated if that list starts to grow. And now let's take a look at your traffic and see how your roadways are doing right now. And here's a look at your traffic this morning. As you can see, we're seeing a lot of green and a lot of yellow and red roadways due to that snowy commute. So take it easy and you should get there eventually. Officer involved shooting last fall in Epping was justified. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9, Jennifer Crompton.
Are you ready to hit the open road this year? It begins at Country Camper. We've got a new name. Multiple.
Law enforcement releasing results of a 3-month investigation into an officer-involved shooting.
I have determined that the use of deadly force against Mr. Welsh by Trooper Dobson was legally justified.
Unfolding about 6:40 the night of September 29th, callers to 911 reporting a white construction company pickup driving erratically westbound on Route 101 in Epping. Trooper Kevin Dobson finding it pulled over off exit 6. 40-year-old Walter Welch Jr. of Fremont inside, first admitting he had a lot to drink, then grabbing a gun.
Despite the directive to drop the gun, Mr. Welsh fired the gun in the direction of Trooper Dobson.
Investigators say Dobson backed away, yelling for him to drop the weapon. Then Welch opened the driver's side door.
Trooper Dobson believed that Walter Welch was getting out of his truck to shoot at him again. And so Trooper Dobson fired 4 shots into the rear of the truck.
2 bullets struck Walter Welch in the head, but there was another shot, too.
Unbeknownst to Trooper Dobson, at the same time he started firing his weapon, Mr. Welsh had fired a shot to the right side of his own head.
Now, according to the medical examiner, that self-inflicted gunshot wound happened before the trooper fired his gun. So the medical examiner says the actual cause of death, the manner of death, is undetermined. Still, regardless, that trooper has been cleared. That shooting considered justified. Reporting live here in Epping, Jennifer Crompton, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. New Hampshire DES proposed drinking water standards for PFAS levels. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9, Jessica Moran.
Are you ready to hit the open road this year? It begins at Country Camper. We've got a new name.
Who expects to be worried about their water in a pretty middle-class town? It's disappointing.
The debate continues over what are acceptable levels of chemicals in New Hampshire water supplies. Today, New Hampshire's Department of Environmental Services released their proposed drinking water standards for the state.
There was a state law passed in 2018 that directed DES to come up with drinking water standards for 4 PFAS chemicals by January 1st.
DES proposed maximum contaminant levels come after chemicals were found near New Hampshire military bases and factories. Among the chemicals listed, DES is proposing 38 parts per trillion for PFOA and 70 parts per trillion for PFOS.
We proposed standards after our toxicologists have looked at all of the most recent and best science available.
Merrimack Citizens for Clean Water is an advocacy group formed in 2016 to bring awareness about PFAS levels in the community. They believe the numbers should be lower.
I'm very disappointed. I'm not surprised. I'm surprised that the numbers are higher than I thought, but I am overall not surprised.
I think it's good that they're trying to put more limits on more chemicals too, because we're constantly playing catch up. But I don't think they're low enough.
And residents will have a chance to voice their concerns. DES says there will be 3 public hearings in March at different locations throughout the state. They anticipate having a final proposal by this summer. In Merrimack, Jessica Moran, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Man accused of setting fire at vacant Twin Mountain Hotel ordered to be held. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9, Kristen Carosa.
Are you ready to hit the open road this year? It begins at Country Camper. We've got a new name.
30-year-old Richard Vaughn appeared by video in Coos County Superior Court.
We believe that he is a danger to the safety of the community and to himself.
Vaughn faces several charges, including arson, for allegedly starting this fire at the former Grandview Lodge in Twin Mountain. Prosecutors say shortly after the firefighters arrived on scene, EMS were called to treat Vaughn for smoke inhalation at a home in Carroll, 3 miles away. First responders say Vaughn was covered in soot and smelled like smoke, and when investigators came to interview him about what happened, he exited the home yelling and swearing.
He has displayed threatening behavior, particularly when he was first confronted by the fire marshal's investigators.
Vaughn later told investigators he was staying in that building because he had no other place to go, and then admitted to starting a fire to stay warm. According to court documents, Vaughn also explained he had been drinking at the time and poured tequila on the fire, which made it bigger. He then tried pouring Powerade on the fire. He thought it was out and left. Prosecutors say Vaughn has a lengthy criminal history and was out on bail when he started the fire.
This was not some intentional act, that this was at best an accident.
His defense attorney believes Vaughn is not a danger to the public and asked for his release.
Aside from some difficulty communicating with Mr. Vaughn initially, that he was more than compliant with the investigation. Nobody considered them to be genuine, dangerous, or anything of that nature, because if that was the case, we'd be here with 2 additional charges for criminal threat.
The judge decided to keep Vaughn detained pending trial. In Lancaster, Kristen Carosa, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Ex-youth softball coach sentenced for exchanging explicit photos with former player. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9, Mike Cherry.
Are you ready to hit the open road this year? It begins at Country Camper. We've got a new name.
Mr. Palladino was sentenced to 4 years in prison for his conduct. He will also be on supervised release for 5 years.
Inside federal court, Palladino made a tearful apology to his family and the family of the young girl whom he admitted to exchanging sexually explicit photographs with. Prosecutors say they were pleased with the verdict and don't believe Palladino poses a risk to reoffend.
What we found was that his conduct was deplorable in taking advantage of this 14-year-old victim, and there needed to be a substantial punishment.
In 2015, Palladino was employed at Milford Middle School and was a school softball coach. Prosecutors say Palladino used Instagram to communicate with a former player on his youth team, asking her to send pictures of herself and replying with his own photographs. Prosecutors say, as a coach, Palladino abused his position of power. Judge Paul Barbadero agreed, adding that the 29-year-old violated the trust that all parents should have with their child's coaches. The victim's mother, in a written statement, says their family is devastated.
A message needs to be sent that we expect more of the folks who are dealing with our children. We expect them to take care of children and not to abuse them.
Now, the judge has not ruled the exact location Mr. Palladino will serve his sentence. Palladino is required to turn himself in on February 25th.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. European stocks open lower as Apple amplifies growth fears. European markets fell after a revenue guidance cut from Apple added to fears of a slowdown in global economic growth. Trump says shutdown will continue as long as it takes to secure border wall. "12 days into a partial government shutdown, President Donald Trump expressed resolve to continue the shutdown for as long as it takes in order to secure funding he's demand to build a southern border." And that did it for the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your Thursday and see you back here later on today for another newscast. And I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Goodbye, everyone.